you've got to practice your pitch over and over and over again, right? You've got to get really, really clear with selling yourself, and the ability to set that up and make sure that who you're talking to understands your problem and has some interest in it.
In part one of my conversation with Erinn Valencich, the founder and CEO of StyleRow, she discussed the platform she developed that's targeted to bridge the needs of product management and sales for luxury designers. In this second part of our conversation, she tells about her early years as a horse trainer, then running the business for a lifestyle expert before starting her own interior design company at the age of 24. She also discusses how she struggled launching a new startup, but eventually managed to succeed once finally connecting with the right people. And I'm excited to continue our conversation now, talking about the journey of starting a business. This is not the first business that you've run, but this is the first technology business that you've run. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
So from the initial, where did you start and begin as far as location-wise and time-wise?
I grew up in Northern California on a farm, had a pony, climbed trees, played in the mud. It was a great childhood. And then when I was 9, my mom moved us to Los Angeles, and it was quite a culture shock. So I missed my horses. And so when I was 13, I started training horses at a show barn in Burbank. I went up to the trainer and said, I can't afford lessons, but can I groom for you and work here in exchange for lessons? And she hired me on the spot. So I trained show horses for 6 years. You know, I'd ride my bike after junior high and high school until I got a car from school down to the barn, and Monday was my day off. So I've always been a very industrious person. When I was 18, I started working for a lifestyle expert. So this is when Martha Stewart was exploding on the scene and HGTV was taking over the world. So I worked for her for 6 years and helped her run her business. So we had a regular contributorship on the Today Show, doing lifestyle segments. Wrote and produced 2 books on home decor and style with Simon & Schuster, big publisher in New York. Had 2 shows on HGTV, spokesperson gigs, you know, you name it, product line, licensing deals, all of that. So I helped her kind of start and run that business for 6 years, and then decided when I was 24 that I would quit my job. I had $3,000 in my pocket, and I opened up an interior design firm. So for probably about 10 years, I had been kind of in the back of my mind thinking, like, how am I going to take this very physical, personal involvement? You know, I have to show up for the client. Like, we ship furniture, and shipping furniture is a terrible business to be in because it always gets damaged and it's just so painful. How can I take this industry that I love and turn it into a tech company? You know, like, what can I do to make my business scalable and have a bigger reach and provide more impact than designing one home at a time or selling one table at a time? And so in the back of my mind, that was kind of always there, and I was trying to concept ideas. And 4 years ago is when I ran into this just head-on problem with tech in both businesses. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to get our business streamlined. We're going to use new software. I'm sick of how paper heavy and so many mistakes when you're invoicing out of Excel, and just, it's a nightmare. And we had the same problem for the furniture brand at the same time. We needed a lightweight CRM. We were in 5 different solutions to run really basic workflows. And we were in 5 solutions for the design firm, between, you know, Pinterest and Keynote and PDFs and email and Excel and texting. And now clients are WhatsApping and they're Instagramming you, and you've got photos over here and you've got Dropbox folders over there. It's a disaster. And you're constantly trying to share data in your office with your client and with other professionals that you're working on the job. And both businesses were having that same struggle at the same time. So after a year of pounding the pavement, if you will, and trying everything out there, from the Basecamps and the Asanas to Odoo and different invoicing platforms, it all came down to it that none of it connected. None of it was built for our business. And we were still cobbling data together across platforms, even if there were marginal improvements in each vertical, like communication or task lists, but they didn't connect what we needed them to connect to. So that's when I started StyleRow, and I was like, okay, well, here we go.
You had to find someone right there to understood your marketplace before you could really be able to hone in.
Yeah.
Your journey this entire time, though, it's been an incremental growth, both learning what you enjoy, but also then discovering the challenges in that industry and your desire to scale out of it if possible, which I think a lot of people appreciate. Any other thoughts on other than knowing, okay, I need someone that knows and understands my industry that you can share with another entrepreneur that's wanting to fundraise? Any tips or tricks that you found that worked over it sounds like 1-2 years it took to fundraise, that could help someone else on that journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got to practice your pitch over and over and over again, right? You've got to get really, really clear with selling yourself, and the ability to set that up and make sure that who you're talking to understands your problem and has some interest in it before you even go try to raise money from them. Because if they're not interested in your space, or they don't really understand your space, they're not going to write a check. So I ended up probably overall talking to 100+ individuals throughout this process. And you realize it's very much like speed dating. Again, if you don't want to get married at the end of this conversation, they're not going to give you money. So just know that going into it, you don't end up marrying 100 people in your lifetime, right? Maybe 1 or 2. So it's very much like that, finding that match first, being willing to paint the biggest vision possible, and saying, yeah, I can do this, and I'm awesome, and I'm going to crush it. A friend of mine years ago joked that I had steroid confidence, and I just thought that was so funny. And it's one of those things that, someone says about you 10 years ago that you always remember. And I think that that's true. You have to be the one that says, why not me? If they can do it, why not me? I know I'm capable. I know I'm smart enough to pull the right team together. I know I can make good decisions, and you have to sell that to investors, and you have to ask for the check. I also wasn't sharing, the right type of financial projections in the beginning either. I was very nervous and shy about, feeling like, oh, maybe I can hit those numbers. Is that too high? Are they going to think it's too high? Blow them out of the water with how big you think this is going to get. Don't be shy there. And that's what I mean about like going in with your biggest vision possible, because if it's not venture scale potential, then you shouldn't be raising venture capital. You should be going after different type of capital. So figuring out kind of really what you're comfortable with and what is the biggest vision you really think you can get to, and then 10xing that and going for the 10x, hoping that you're going to get where you thought you were going to go.
Thank you for that powerful insight. Now you've done that journey the first 2 years, and now you're into the growth. You built it. It's live. It's out there. The last 2 years now that it's been promoted. So how has that journey been of scaling up, being able to acquire your first couple clients and customers on the platform? What's that journey been like?
Yeah, so we actually had, because of my industry experience and connections on not only the designer side, who will be our users, but our brand side and showroom side, I was getting yeses very early on from both, and from the biggest players on both sides saying, oh my God, if you're going to build that, like, you're going to change my life. Yes, sign us up. Right. So we actually started creating a wait list, and I had the opposite problem, I think, that maybe some companies do, which is I didn't have a problem finding our first customers. Our first customers were going to be A+ players, so I couldn't mess it up. We didn't want to let them in too early. So we actually created a wait list and had over 1,000 design firms signed up on our wait list, and kept them out purposely, let a few people in an early like alpha, and knew that we needed to build. I've built homes for a living. I'm a problem solver, and I can think in 3D. So I haven't had any problem transitioning that know-how into building software in terms of what it needs to do and how it needs to work and what needs to be the experience for certain users coming in. So we actually kept a very, very long kind of closed alpha, and then went into beta just last fall, and then opened it up in March. We opened up sign up for design professionals, where we weren't doing this very closed, hand-holdy, high touch process. And so timing has been pretty great for us there. We've seen great growth month over month. Our charts are up and to the right, and we're just now making our marketplace public.
What's kind of the some of the tricks, or maybe not tricks, but things that you found have worked? That's, the wait list is one idea. What are the things that you found worked to get the word out there and the growth, and to overcome some of the initial challenges? Anything maybe you do differently too?
So I've always been really good at marketing and self-promotion and business promotion. From an early age, from the woman that I worked for 6 years, the lifestyle expert in the beginning of my career, she was incredible at the same PR, marketing, and promoting what she was doing and getting the word out there. So I very organically and naturally do that. I had a database built already of about 12,000 design firms for my furniture brand, and my database of all of my press contacts and my business associates. Like, I've been running businesses for years, so I already had this foundational kind of understanding and knowledge to market on Instagram and email newsletters and signups and all this kind of stuff. But I've never scaled it for, a tech company, and I've never sold software before. So my COO, who's a member of our founding team that came over from Crexy, he was the co-founder of Crexy when that company started getting really big. He came over and I was able to snag him full-time for StyleRow once we closed our seed round last year. So he brought on an incredible gentleman who is our CRO. So he's over sales and marketing. So I started with a good foundation, I'd say, but he's really been able to take what we've done and just to 10x it. And so through email, through an SDR layer, we've got all these different channels of acquisition going. We're now starting to do paid advertising on Instagram and LinkedIn and Pinterest, and just growing it. I mean, in terms of like grassroots, getting the word out. I speak at design center events all over the country. I put myself out there to them and say, hey, you want me to come and talk about this stuff? And they're like, yes, please. Oh my God, workflows, solutions, digital presentations, changing your business through, software, please. So I speak at, 5 to 6 events in the spring and 5 to 6 events in the fall. And so together we really kind of complement each other quite well in terms of blasting the word out there.
During this interesting time, let's talk about an interesting time to launch. You said March, was it March that you said that you, so how has COVID changed or not changed anything?
Yeah, it's actually been a benefit to us in terms of timing, because suddenly all of the design offices were working remotely. And what have we been building for 2 years, but team collaboration tools, right? And allowing everyone in that design office to collaborate on the project, to share a central database of items that they want to sell to their clients, to communicate and get out of email. So suddenly there was a focus on, oh my gosh, I need better work tools in our industry. And oh wow, I can't present to my client in person. So I need a digital way to present and collaborate and track client feedback. And it's like, oh, we just happen to have already built that for you. So that's been good. And in terms of the marketplace, it's really put that same kind of lens and focus for those brands of like, wow, we need other ways to sell our product. We need better ways than expecting foot traffic to generate sales and to share our products and our pricing in a way where they can scale their teams, right? I mean, it's furnishings industry sales is very much like a door-to-door salesman still. Someone comes to your office, they open up their little bag with all their samples and they show you the catalog in person and they flip through a book and they're like, do you like this one? And then they go back to their office and they type up a quote and they email it to you and you mail them a check. I mean, it's ridiculous. So not only did many people in the industry obviously know that our industry is behind the times when it comes to just processing orders in a faster way, but then with COVID, it's made it like painfully clear that there has to be new workflow. I think there's still always going to be showrooms. There's always going to be beautiful places to go and see this gorgeous physical product that we sell. But I think that model is going to, change and evolve. But I think it'll end up being a very positive thing for the entire industry. Because again, we're focused on making designers more productive so they can sell more product. And that means showrooms are going to sell more product and brands are going to sell more product when we have better tools for our sales team, who's really those designers, to get out there and share that product in a better way with their clients.
What kind of technology innovations do you predict we will see in the near term, the next year or so, and in the longer term, 5, 10 years?
I think just probably an increase in what we've already got going. I don't know that I'm the type to forecast, honestly, new technologies, but I'm always looking for the shortest way to get between 2 points. I don't want to go like this. And one of my best friends calls me the president of the Make It Better committee. So if something can be made better, I'm like, this is dumb. Why do I have to click 4 times? That's just who I am. So I think shortening that line, taking out the extra vias to do anything that we do, we're just going to keep seeing a straighter line being drawn between what you want to do and getting there. And I think that's happening in all industries, right? I mean, you don't have to go into in-person meetings as much anymore because they were a waste of time, and everyone's now realizing that. So there's going to be better innovation there, and more innovation to sharing to your end customer, which is really what we're doing, right? From the brand that makes it through the showroom, through the designer to that client, we're drawing a straight line instead of this very tangled web. So I think we're just going to see more of that.
Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.